Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning at the promotion ceremony. If I could get you all to please stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. And then after the pledge, please remain standing and we'll have a quick prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity that we have to come before you and promote these fine men. We thank you for their families that are behind them, supporting them and pushing them along the way. And we know how much value that support system has for them, and we're thankful for that, Lord. I pray that you'd guide their steps as they walk their journey through law enforcement. Keep them upright, keep them in a service mentality, help them to support their people and their troops. And we thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy. And we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. At this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Sheriff Manuel Gonzalez III for allowing us to do these promotions. He has spent the last 32 years in law enforcement. He and I were reflecting this morning. We were sitting in my office and we were talking about how quickly time goes by. And this is these promotional ceremonies are a great time of reflection. And we look back on our careers, and these gentlemen will look back on their careers of the people that have surrounded them and have supported them along the way. None of the individuals standing up here and none of the individuals that are going to get promoted this morning have done this of their own accord. They have family members, they have friends, they have coworkers that have pushed them up, or maybe some mentors and supervisors that have pulled them up along the way. And that's part of the reflection that I have when I do these promotional ceremonies, is looking and saying, man, this person, has pulled me along. They've mentored me. They've taught me. Van Eldridge is sitting back there, and he retired a long time ago. He looks like a hippie or something now, but Van was my FTO. Sorry, Van. I like your beard. It's awesome. But Van was my FTO, and he yelled a lot at me, but he taught me, and he pulled me along, and he mentored me, and I wouldn't be where I am without people like that. And the rest of these ladies and gentlemen that are standing up here today, they've really, they're the ones that allow us to get promoted. And so when you guys get promoted, reflect on the people that have pulled you along the way, or pulled you up or pushed you up, and be thankful for that. 32 years, the sheriff said that he's been in service. This morning we had our food and toy drive for the sheriff's office. And the sheriff told me a story when he was on FTO, and one of his FTOs took him to San Jose, and there was a family over there that was in need. And the sheriff and his FTO, his field training officer, they went and bought some food, and they bought some toys, and they took it to that family. And that's kind of how all this started. And this morning, Santiago Roybal is one of the people that ran that food and toy drive, and that's what our career is about service. But anyway, these promotional ceremonies are definitely a time of reflection, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the leadership that we have here. Also, I want to recognize a few people that are here. They don't want to be recognized, like Van. I called him out already, but Van served in this department for many, many years. Like I said, he was a mentor to me. I appreciate him, and I appreciate his support. Retired Under Sheriff Rudy Mora is here. He's retired from the state police. He retired from the sheriff's office. He retired from Laguna as the chief of police. So he's just got a lifetime of service, and we appreciate them being in attendance. And if I'm missing anybody else, I apologize, but we thank you all for your service. At this time, we're going to promote Deputy Aaron Velardi to the rank of sergeant. So Aaron, if you'd like to step up for us. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron was hired in February of 2007. He's worked in the Field Services Division. He's worked in the Criminal Investigations Division. Some of his specialties include the Emergency Response Team. He's a firearms instructor from 2013 to the present. He's a field training officer from 2014 to 2018. He was part of the Gang Recognition Intelligence Patrol, that's our GRIP unit, from 2013 to 2018. From 2016 to 2018, he acted as the unit coordinator for GRIP. He's worked most recently in the Criminal Investigations Division as part of the Special Investigative Unit that works out at the jail. some of the letters of commendation that I read were for that specific unit. One of the most recent letters of commendation that I read in his file is he helped build a homicide case from some information that he got at the jail. I don't know exactly how he got the information, probably from inmates or listening to phone calls or whatever that case led to, but he was instrumental in helping solve that homicide. I looked at, like I said, I looked at his file, and there were some things that I kind of stood out to me. For example, in 2012, he got a letter of commendation from a social worker. In 2013, he got another letter of commendation from a social worker. In 2014, he got a letter of commendation from the National Park Service. Those stand out to me for this reason. Aaron's being recognized from people outside of our department for his level of service that he's provided, for the type of service that he's provided in the community. So we appreciate that about Aaron, his ability and willingness to serve others. Today, his family members are in attendance, or his fiancee Liz, and I believe the sheriff will be pinning his badge. So Aaron, if you'll step over here. Aaron, would you like to say anything, sir?
Real quick, and then
Okay, take a photo first.
we'll let you have the podium there. Podium's all yours.
I'd just like to thank everybody for being in attendance today. I'd like to thank God and my family for affording me the opportunity to pursue a career in law enforcement. My fiancee Liz, excuse me, I'm just recovering from COVID also. I'm negative, so nobody worry. But I would also like to thank my role models within the department. They all know who they are, and the help that they've provided along the way and the example they've set for me has left some big shoes to fill. But I look forward to accepting that challenge and doing what I can to continue serving my community in this department. Thank you again for being here.
The next person to be promoted is Scott McGee. He'll be promoted to the rank of sergeant. So Scott, if you can join us up here.
Here.
Yeah, that's good. That way you don't have to walk. Make it easy on you. All right. So Scott was hired by the department in October of 2008. He's worked Field Services Division, South Graves, Relief Graves, South Swing. He's done a lot for this department. Some of the specialties that he's done, he's a traffic investigator from 2013 to 2021. He's a field training officer. I'll come back to that in a second. He's a field training officer board member. What I'll say about that is that position is a kind of a thankless position. You are part of the FTO board, so you're making sure that the cadets coming out of the academy have what they need to be successful. That's part of leadership, is making sure that people have what they need to be successful. He's part of that. Part of that FTO board, you know, it's a lot of administrative responsibilities and duties with no real incentive to be there. There's no pay that goes with it or anything like that, and he's been doing that for quite some time. He's an instructor for the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department Regional Training Academy in the following areas: EVOC, crash investigations, radar and LIDAR, and officer survival. He's also an instructor for the police motorcycle operation. He gives back a lot to this department, and I know I read some accolades that he has, but really what that boils down to, those accolades boil down to, is that he serves our department. Everything that he's obtained in this department through his training and things like that, he gives back to the department. He's been an FTO for 10 years, and I once heard this quote, and I think this is pertinent at this time, but service is not measured in months or years, it's measured in decades, and he's been an FTO for almost a decade, so that says something about his willing to serve our department. Also, for that instructor of police motorcycle operation, that's a certification from Northwestern University. It's a pretty substantial certification, and it's not an easy class, but that's something that he's accomplished. But all these things show that he's willing to invest back into our department, teaching at academies, And chances are there's people in here today that he's either been an FTO for or he's taught you in the academy, so we appreciate that. He was the Uniform Deputy of the Quarter in 2015. He has 13 letters of commendation. In attendance today is his wife, Amy, his daughter, Kaylee, his son, Camden, and his mother, Linda Kraft. And today, his wife will be pinning on his badge, so she'll come up.
Congratulations. Photo. Don't rush off. Say a few words.
Well, thank you for everybody coming here today. I appreciate all the support. Like I said, it's been said up to this point by the Undersheriff Covington, you get to these positions from support from the very beginning, from day one. Chief Campos was one of my drill instructors in the academy, and he's made the transition from the beginning of, there were times that I hated him, absolutely. And then as I progressed through my career and I successfully completed the academy and moved on to actually do the job, I was able to work for him as he was my supervisor out of the academy. So he's been a huge role model and an inspiration for me from the very beginning of my career. All the achievements that I've done, it's been from the support of other people. Like, there's numerous people in the room today that have helped me get to the point where I'm at, and it's been an absolute joy to work with. This is a great department. I was just having a conversation with Undersheriff Covington prior to this. I've never been happier in a career as I am with this one. I've never dreaded coming to work. It's always exciting, something new. And our department is like a family. So getting to this point, it's an honor to be here. But my biggest support from the very beginning, from day one, has been family and friends, and my wife being, the number one. She's put up with so much. I've been on call for the past 10 years doing traffic investigation stuff, countless call outs in the middle of the night, countless unexpected scheduling changes and things that, we have to adapt to constantly. And she's been an absolute rock of support for me. So I couldn't have done it without her, absolutely. So thank you for everybody for being here. I can't name everybody individually, but you know who you are.
Thank you, Scott.
The next promotion is to the rank of sergeant is Arnie Aurelius. Arnie, if you join us up here. Arnie was hired in December of 2010. He's worked field services, north, south, and east, Criminal Investigations Division, the Property Crimes and Special Investigations Unit. He's been an FTO. He's worked in the Gang Recognition Intelligence Patrol Unit. He's worked at the Gang Task Force. He was a Gang Task Force training on the Gang Task Force Training Committee. Say that 3 times fast. He's been an instructor with our department and outside of our department as well. He has numerous letters of commendation, life-saving awards, nominated for Deputy of the Quarter. One of the, probably what seemed like a more insignificant commendation that I saw in there was Arnie was off duty, or at least not in uniform, so maybe he was on duty in plain clothes, but he was at a gas station. A guy had run out of gas, and don't know if the guy couldn't afford gas or couldn't afford a gas can or whatever it was, but Arnie stepped up and paid for the man's gas can, paid for his gas, filled up the guy's car for him, and didn't have to do that. No, that wasn't dispatched to that. Wasn't, no obligation to help out in any way like that. But the man wrote an email later saying that he recognized, Arnie obviously told him that he was with the sheriff's office, and the man was just very humbled, very complimentary of how Arnie treated him. the sacrifice that Arnie made that day for him, and didn't know him. Still doesn't probably to this day know who he is, but that's the type of service that we hope that we always provide at the Sheriff's Office. And it's a good representation of who Arnie is and what, what he's done in his career. His family members in attendance today are Vanessa, that's his spouse, Gabriella, his daughter, and Eli, his son. And his daughter, Gabriella, will be pinning his badge today. She can come up.
Arnie, do you have the rest of your family here?
I do.
You want to come on up so you can take a picture with them?
Yeah, please. You saved me. Thank you, sir.
You don't want no fighting going on later?
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Every day.
Arnie, want to see if you do?
Well, thank you for everybody that's here. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Undersheriffs, Chiefs, Captains, everybody in this room. Especially thanks to my beautiful wife, Vanessa, son, Eli, and my daughter, Gabriella. Many of you don't know this, but the single reason that I'm a law enforcement officer today is because of my daughter, Gabriella. I was a stay-at-home dad before I became a cop, and Gabriella got really sick. And we spent tons of time in the ER. She was actually admitted to ICU, and we found out that she was a type 1 diabetic. We were having a very hard time after paying for medical bills, and it put a lot of stress on me and my wife's marriage. If you asked me 17 years ago if I was ready to be a husband, absolutely not. 17 years, right? If you asked me 14 years ago if I was ready to be a father, absolutely not. If you asked me 12 years ago if I was ready to be a deputy sheriff, absolutely not. And through this whole process of promoting to sergeant, I was asked numerous times if I was ready, and I said absolutely not. And the reason I said absolutely not was because when you think you're ready, chances are you're not. And I became a deputy sheriff because of Gabriella. I found out that law enforcement had pretty good health care, and the sole purpose of my employment here is my family, especially my daughter. And she's alive and well today and gives me attitude every single day. But the reason I say that I'm absolutely not ready for this is because of a United States Marine Corps veteran, Victor Harold Krulak. He said that being ready is not what matters. What matters is winning after you get there. And I won that day when we found out what was wrong with Gabby. I won as a father. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be a deputy sheriff, but I won that day, and I became a deputy sheriff. And this is kind of a win for me in my personal life. So I thank everybody that's here. Again, 17 years. And I'm humbled to stand before you today, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Arnie.
Sheriff, do you want to say anything to the sergeants? I kind of forgot to ask you.
Yeah.
You want to say it, and then we'll go
Yeah,
on
well,
to, I
since you brought it up.
apologize.
So Arnie asked me the same thing when he came in this morning. He goes, I'm not ready to do this, so thank you. But, you know, I have the opportunity to speak to the sergeants before they come in here, so I apologize for us running a couple of minutes late, but I'll sum it up really quick. I said, if you love stress, you're going to love this position. And so they all smiled, and they said they're ready to do it. And, you know, I can't thank them enough for wanting to take this on. It's a challenge. But I can actually remember all their faces and what they were doing when I came in, you know, and I know Aaron loved competition shooting, and he loves, something he never got thanks for is being the union president. So thank you for taking on that thankless job. I know it's a lot of extra work, and I know you take a lot of heat for it, and I wanted to thank you for doing that. Arnie, you've always been a stand-up guy. You've done a great job with investigations. You've had a knack for the gang and all the other type investigations you've done, so thank you for that. And of course, Scott, very humble man, great mother. I've met her while I was in office, and you have a great family. And what I'm telling you, and I'm going to leave you with, is that we have a great future with all three of these gentlemen. And I tell you in my position, and I tell all my staff, and they know how we feel, is we're here to support you. This is your network of success, and there's not a question you can't ask any individual up here that wouldn't be willing to help you. So good luck, and we'll move on to the big promotion, right?
That's right. Thank you, Sheriff. So next promotion is Santiago Roybal. He'll be promoted to the rank of lieutenant. So Santi, if you'd come up here. All right, so Santiago was hired in May of 2005. So I'm going to stop there for a second because Santiago and I have known each other since May of 2005. I was his drill instructor. And I learned early on that Santiago and I are a little bit alike, and I'll explain that. When I joined the sheriff's office on the first test day of the academy, we had a spelling test, and I misspelled Bernalillo. That's not the big part of it. I mean, Bernalillo is a hard word, but it was literally written on the wall, and I still misspelled Bernalillo. The first time that I gave Santiago a spelling test, he didn't misspell Bernalillo, but he did misspell some other words, and I thought, I like this guy. We fit right in together. He's a passionate man. I'll say this about his family, and I don't know his family real well, but I know he loves you guys. Man, every time I see him, I say, Santi, how's your family doing? And he'll usually talk about his daughter or one of his two sons or his wife, and his demeanor and his face glows when he talks about you guys. He absolutely adores you. He does everything that he does for you. So I wish I was a little bit more like him in that way, but he is a passionate man. Excuse me, I don't know how you're going to follow this because I'm taking the thunder, buddy. About a year and a half ago, I had I had to issue discipline to Santiago. It wasn't a hard thing for me because Santiago and I have a good relationship, but it was significant discipline. And he and I had a good conversation, and we talked about, he had two choices. He had a road, he could choose two paths. He could go kick his can down the road and become upset and jaded and use that as an excuse not to excel or succeed, or he could take a path where he learned from whatever mistakes that he made, that he could use that as a training tool for others. He could better himself through that. And we talked about discipline not being a negative thing. Discipline is actually a positive thing. In fact, the best form of discipline is self-discipline. There's nothing negative about self-discipline. That makes us who we are, that gives us character. So we talked about that, and I'm glad to say that Santiago he took the right path, and he used that as a springboard to get promoted today. Had that discipline not occurred, I don't know that he'd be up here today. So he did the right thing, and he took the right path. And that's he's at a crossroads today, and all these gentlemen are at a crossroads today. They've gotten promoted, and so that's an achievement. They can choose to lean on that promotion and on, the bars that we pin on their shoulders and the stripes that are on their sleeves, and they can lean on that and say, I'm the supervisor, you do what I say because I'm the supervisor. Or they can choose a path that is a mentoring, teaching, training type of path to bring people up, to pull them up, and I think all these gentlemen will do that today. Some of the specialties that Santiago's worked in, he's worked in all three divisions. That's the administrative division, the criminal investigations division, and the field services division. He's worked in SVU, our special victims unit, SORT, which is our sex offender registration, ROPE, which is our repeat offenders and fugitive apprehension. He's been the sergeant of advanced training, civil and extraditions, internal affairs, the community action team, and our school resource officers or DARE officers. He was a deputy of the quarter in 2020. He has numerous letters of commendations. In attendance today is his wife Chandra, his sons Enrique, Elicio, his daughter Elena, and his parents and his in-laws. And I believe his wife Chandra will be pinning his badge today.
See how fast he's with this? Take your time.
Stay up there and we'll get the kids up there with them.
Good thing you didn't dress up for nothing. Good job.
Can you get us both in there?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before Santiago says something, Captain Huffmeyer asked me if he could say a couple of words.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
The good news is I don't have to be the one falling apart up here. That'll be your job.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
So we have some pretty unique individuals on our department. We've got a collection of people, but we don't have many people like Santi. Santi was my first phase FTO. And so my initial introduction to this department and to law enforcement was him. I never met anybody that smelled that good in my life. I'd also never seen anybody iron a sweater. Does anybody still wear a sweater?
I still wear a sweater.
You do? Probably ironed. He also irons his t-shirts. I didn't know that was a thing because I'm not from Albuquerque and I didn't know about, Rio Grande style, etiquette, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, all that. Creases, everything's creased. And he still smells fantastic to this day after doing this job for so long, which is, a feat in and of itself. So my first introduction to law enforcement was I knew coming in that I had to have my boots shined because that was a huge deal for him. And it didn't matter if we just got done chasing somebody. They had to be shined by the time we got back to the car. I remember walking around the perimeter of a trailer in Kennebrick one time, and we were, just doing a perimeter check of a residence or something. And mid-check, he looks down, he's like, "Your boots look nice today." I'm like, "We're on a call right now. What are we doing?" We had a tremendous amount of fun, and he really taught me everything about, trying to take this job on as a new person. And so I don't think that our agency could have a better person, a better person to become a lieutenant. And it's a special day, and I'm happy for you.
Is there anyone else that wants to come up? Sheriff, did you want to come up here and say anything? I know you're here because of him. Does anybody else want to come up and say anything about Santiago? This is kind of more what we're used to. Just we'll make it up as we go along.
See, this ain't in the notes.
More than anything, I just wanted to give him a big hug. Santiago, he's a big part of my life. He's a good man. I had the opportunity to bring him into internal affairs when I was here as undersheriff, and he's just a very humble man. I cannot echo enough what Cov says when he loves his family. His family has been taking care of my pool for years, so it's funny how things come full circle. But Santiago, I just want to tell you I'm proud of you, man. When we went across different types of investigations, one thing I loved about this man is that he never, ever stopped representing the men and women that wear that badge out there. Regardless of the mistakes that they made, he always turned the perspective that he was there, he understood the job, and maybe we should just take a different look at it before we go down the path of discipline. And I just want to tell you, thank you, I appreciate that. I'm so proud of you, and I think this is just one of many promotions coming.
Thank you, sir.
It's all yours.
Giving me an open mic is a mistake. Thank you very much. The beginning of what Under Sheriff Covington said was pretty much half my speech. I would not be standing up here if it wasn't for people pulling me up since the beginning of my career. And I look forward to the opportunity to doing that for others. I think it's important for all of us. You don't have to have rank to do that. Help each other grow, help each other get better. That's what our job is. Thank you, Sheriff, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I know you didn't have to pick me. And talking about that discipline I've had a wonderful career. I've done pretty much everything I've ever wanted to do in the department so far. But that was a good time to reflect on what I was missing, because I made some mistakes and I had to fix some stuff, and I totally did that. One thing that was important, though, the sheriff called me to his office after the discipline, and we had a long talk, and he told me, I think you're a good supervisor. I'm not mad at you. I know you're going to do great things in the department. It was longer than that, but he didn't have to do that, so I appreciate it. It made a difference for me. And Cub's right. I didn't kick my can because I had work to do. What helped me was I went south swing when I went back to the field, and reminded me of all the hard work that people do in the department. And that's why I became a cop, was for that, to work like that. So I appreciate, even though I left a job that I loved with a great team, I went back to work with another great team. And everywhere I go, there's always a great team. So that's part of what this department is, and I really appreciate that. I owe a lot to the department, and I think sometimes people get sick of my optimism. Don't, because I have good reasons for it. One of them is because of the department, I've never missed anything for my kids, which is super important to me. Haven't missed plays or May fiestas and listening to them sing off key. You'll get better. Birthdays, parties, none of that. And it's a major part because of the flexibility in the department, and our families and the people in the department are what's most important. So as I take this new role, I want to make sure that I will always remember that the people in the department are what makes the department. So thank you, everyone, for this. I wouldn't be standing up here without any of you guys. I greatly appreciate it. People that have come, I greatly appreciate it. And this is the main one. I'm very thankful to my family. This took a while for me to get past this test. I took it 3 times. It was 5 years of studying, so if you want to ask me questions about SOP, I'll nail it. But I definitely didn't do it by myself, and I appreciate my family, the kids, my parents, my sister, all my family for supporting me, even when I failed. So the first time I took the test, I failed it, and I picked up Enrique from school, and we were all waiting. You know, it was a big deal. They knew how much I was studying, and he said, "How'd it go?" And it's funny when the kids throw your own wisdom in your face. I said, "I didn't pass, baby," and he's all, "It's all right, just got to get back on it." I said, he was 11. I said, "Okay, guy, I will." So I did. I kept doing it. And I appreciate it. They're super hard workers. They've all had straight A's or better, 4.0s or better since 6th grade, and they maintain it. They're athletes, they're artists. You guys are awesome. Chan, it's a couple of deep breaths. I wouldn't even have passed the academy without Chandra. She studied with me constantly. Same thing for Sergeant. She deserves this badge as much as I do, because even studying for this, I mean, she probably could have passed the test as well. You guys know what that's like.
That badge off.
I'll write her name on the back of it.
So, baby, deserve this just as much as I do, if not more, because you don't even get the benefits. I get this fancy jacket and whatnot. But I appreciate you so much. Thank you again for the opportunity. I know there's lots of work to still be done. My goal was to be
lieutenant. Now I got to work on being an amazing lieutenant. So thank you very much, everybody, because I expect you to keep pushing me to do more. Everyone up here, I have awesome friends in the department that I wouldn't give up for anything. So I appreciate you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Just to follow up on what Santiago was saying, he said that when the captain was up here speaking, he said it wasn't a sweater, it was a cardigan. We just want to know what his wardrobe looks like. So if you can ever do a video or a documentary on it, we'd like to see it. We know he likes to dress up, but all kidding aside, great person to come up here and share, that he made a mistake. All of us have made a mistake. If I didn't make mistakes, I wouldn't be standing here right now. So it's not to give up. It's kind of to instill in your children and inspire them, and then for them to be able to have the ability to go back and throw it in your face is a great thing, right? And so sometimes they're your conscience. To all you family members that stand by your law enforcement officers, you do this job alongside with us, and you don't get enough credit. So I'd like to personally thank you because you make the sacrifices, and without your willingness to be able to understand that, hey, they are on call, they do have to do the extra work, and you support them, I appreciate that. And I'll always support these people because they deserve it. It's a difficult time to be in law enforcement. We just had a couple more deputies having to go through some trying times, but we're going to make sure that they get the support they need. I expect the supervisors to be supportive of them and do what they need to do to make sure that they're stable, their mental health is stable, that you're stable. So anything we can do on your behalf, please let us know. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today, and I'll turn it over to the Undersheriff to close it out.
Thank you, Sheriff. I have a little bit of a challenge for these gentlemen sitting up here, and I got a lot of this from the sheriff just in his leadership style, and he even actually just echoed some of this. Supporting your people is one of the most important aspects of leadership that you guys will be getting into. I think leadership, if you describe it in one word, is just influence. How do you influence your people to be better? How do you influence them to accomplish a mission? But if you want to break it down a little bit more, leadership in 3 parts, and the sheriff hit on these, is you got to set your people, when you start, set your people up for success. Make sure they understand your expectations. Make sure they have the training, the equipment, everything that they need to succeed. That's the first step of leadership. And then when you close out your leadership role, you give them all the credit. So that's the first step and the last step. The middle step is super easy. Just serve your people. Just serve them. So give them what they need to be successful. Set them up for success. Give them all the credit when time comes. And in the middle, just serve them. And I think that's a small portion of what we do in our department. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you for supporting the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff, again, thank you so much for this. These are some of my favorite days in law enforcement when we get to promote great people. So gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you all for coming. I believe we have some refreshments over here against the wall, and you all have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.